Hey there everyone, Bernina Jeff in Grand Junction, Colorado. This is our monthly IQ Designer class with the Baby Lock Solaris 2, and it'll work for the Meridian, the Destiny, anything that has IQ Designer. So today we're going to make a placemat. And since the Solaris has such a large hoop size, which is over 10 by 16, it makes a really nice size placemat. If your machine doesn't have as large of a hoop for that, you can always make mug rugs or centerpiece things. So I'm going to show you how we're going to design this in IQ Designer and then the steps to stitch it out. So first off, let's open up our IQ Designer. Now this is our field of work, and what I did is I went into the settings page and I found the largest embroidery frame size, which is 10 5/8 by 16, and selected that. And I turned off the grid. Hit OK. So now I have a full area that I can work with. Next, I'm going to select a shape. So I'm going to select a shape here, and I use this corner with the curves cut out. I thought it'd make like a wine label thing. I'm using a wine theme. And selected it to the work surface of the IQ Designer. Then I selected the size, and I made the size as large as possible. And then I backed it off just a little bit. So now I'm going to make it taller. So I'm going to use the full spectrum of the hoop. Now, I like to be able to see where the edges are, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit. And now I can see the red edge there, and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller on the edges so I can see the red edge there. I lost maybe less than 1/4 inch of size, but it lets me see the edges better. You could leave it the way it was, but I like to do it this way. So I'm going to click OK on that. Now, what we want to do with this is when we're building a applique, we need a tack down, we need a placement line, then we need a tack down line, and then I'm going to put fill in there, and then I'm going to do the satin stitch around it. So this basically makes a border or a binding as it goes. So real easy. And I started with a water soluble stabilizer. This is called Aqua Mesh. There's a lot of different water stabilizers, and I'll show you at the end how slick this works. All right, so back to our IQ Designer. We have our shape here. Now I want that shape to be a smaller line. Baby Lock, the smallest line you can do is two layers, 2 stitch lines. This is wider, so we want the smallest we can. I'm going to select that. I'm going to make it in a red, and I'm going to select OK. So now I select the paint can or the beaker, and now I touch the line. You hear a confirmation, and the line is red. I'm going to use this line in the future, so I'm going to put it to the memory of the IQ Designer. Now it's in the memory of the IQ Designer. Now I need to go to the next step, and it has converted that artwork into stitches, and that's the line I want to stitch first on my embroidery. So I'm going to go ahead, hit set. It's going to convert it to embroidery pattern. Now I'm in embroidery. See here, it's got the edit feature and it's foxy red. So I'm going to put this into memory, and then that is going to be my tack down line and my placement line in opposite order. Placement first, tack down second. So now we're gonna, that's in embroidery. We're gonna stack this later. It's okay to cancel that. Now we're gonna go back to IQ Designer, and we're gonna recall that shape we made. It's right here. I'm gonna click OK. So now that shape's in there, but it is in a double line. So now I want to turn off the stitch line. So that's this little satin with the line through it. So I turned off the stitch line. This is so I can fill it. I'm going to select my fill, and I want to do stippling today. You can use anything you want. I'm going to turn that to like a dark brown, mustardy color. Now I need to select my fill there. So I'm going to hit my beaker or my paint can and touch the middle of that. Now it fills it up. That's what I need for the next step. So I'm going to go next. And now you can select whatever you like for the density of your stippling. I left it at the default and it looked perfect for the size of this. So this is 10 by 15, so that looked really nice. So I'm going to leave everything the same. I'm going to hit set, convert it to embroidery. Now it is, apparently I didn't turn off my, see, I've got an extra line there.
Didn't touch it.
I forgot to touch it. This happens all the time, so I'm going to go back and do it the right way. So I'm going to cancel that out, go back to my embroidery. So disregard those last few steps because it happens to all of us. We're going to go to our pocket memory. We're going to bring in the outline. Hit OK. Now I'm going to go up here. I'm going to turn off the outside stitch and hit OK. And now I hit the paint can and the line. Now that will not stitch. The machine has to be taught that. It won't assume it. Now we're going to go to our stippling, turn it this dark mustardy color, and then hit our paint can, and there we go. Now we have that stippling background fill. And I'm going to hit set. It's going to take it to embroidery. And now, see, I don't have that foxy red line on it. Now I'm going to add that to my memory. I'm going to stack them later. Okay, now I'm going to go, did I do memory already?
No.
Hit the sewing machine. Now it's in the memory. If there's two of them, it's no big deal. Now I'm going to go back to my IQ Designer, and I'm going to go back to my pocket. I'm going to pick that outline. See, by making that outline the way you like it the first time, you can continuously use it. Now I want to make it a satin. So I'm going to go into my line properties. I'm going to pick the satin, and to make sure I know I've got it different, I'm going to do a light green. I'll click OK. I'll touch my paint can. There, I saw the line turn green. I'm going to go next already. Now, 0.8 inches is too thin for our border, so I'm going to make my border 2.2 inches, or 0.22 inches. That's a little under 1/4 of an inch. It's going to make a really nice border. I'm going to click OK. And it says it's outside my embroidery pattern. It's because it grew bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize that just a little bit. Because right now I should have brought the sides of my shape in a little bit further so I had more room for that embroidery. So I'm going to just clear all. Go in and get my shape again. These little things that happen, you have to kind of know what the software won't let you get away with anything. So I'm going to resize this up, and I'm going to just bring it down just a little bit. But I don't want to bring it in so much that it's going to not cover up my satin, my tack downs and stuff. Okay, let's see what happens here. I'm going to go OK. And now I'm going to turn that into a satin stitch again. And turn the beaker on and touch it. And hit next. And I'm going to make it 2.2 inches wide, or 2.22 inches wide, and hope it fits. Still too large. So I'm going to come here and make it, can I change? That's only density. See, it all happened because I didn't make my shape small enough so when I put this border on it. So I'm going to keep making the border narrower till it fits. Because there we go. So finally it'll fit around to the edge of our hoop now. I'm going to go ahead and set that. And now we're in embroidery. Now I'm going to put it to memory in the sewing machine. Okay, so now we're going to delete this and we're going to start our pattern in the right order. So I'm going to come to the pocket, And the first thing I need to do is put down a placement stitch. There it is. The next thing I need to do is add the tack down stitch. There, same one. We're just doing the same stitch over again. I'm going to hit set. We're going to add again. Now we're going to put the fill in there. There's that guy. And now the last thing we're going to do is add the border. And it should all just cover up the edges real well. So now let's go ahead and embroider this. I'm going to show you the steps on how you put your fabrics down. So I'm going to go to embroidery, and it's going to put down the placement stitch. So we're just going to go ahead and attach the frame. And I'm using the dime snap hoop. It's magnetic, so it's holding this in all with a very, very strong magnet. You could use your regular hoop, but this is just one if you're doing want to put a quilt in there, it really works well. So it's moving around. So let's do this first tack down. It'll take a little while. It's going to tack it down. It's going to go around twice because that's the smallest number of stitches we can have. This takes about a little over a minute to put this down. Now this is going to show me where I'm going to put the backing of my placemat. This is just a nice heavy muslin. See it on the back? I'm going to slide this underneath the hoop. You could put it on the top, but I'm going to put it on the hoop just because I'm going to show you that technique. Then I'm going to put the padding, and then I'm going to put the print on there. The reason I want this washaway in between is when I don't even really care if these might be a gift. I don't want to wash all that out, so I'm leaving that Washaway Stabilizer on the inside, and it actually will give it a little extra body. And I've already taken this to the sink. I got warm water running, and I put my fingers under the warm water and I just rubbed the edges. See, that's just what's left over of that Washaway Stabilizer, and just rub the edges till it just became, went away or became glue along the edge. So I can't wait to make the next 7 of these for my wife and I. We like a nice glass of red wine. All right, so we're almost here. Again, I'm going to put the backing underneath the hoop. I haven't had hardly any trouble. I just watch it. I don't walk away on this step because I don't want this backing to get a kink or a wrinkle in it. All right, so I just leave the hoop right on the sewing machine. All right, that was tough, huh? That's good to go. Now I'm batting down. Make sure my batting covers up all the placement lines. Now I'm going to put my print fabric down. I try not to be too stingy on the fabrics when I'm going to do applique, because I'm going to have to be able to hold on to this edge of fabric and trim. So okay, the next step, it says, is another tack down line. So how tough is this? And if I'm not using any other method, I kind of use the pat the kitty method. I kind of pet the fabric to make sure I don't get, so it stays nice and flat. And I'm holding on to the bottom fabric, making sure it doesn't give me any surprises. I've sewn strange things into the back of my hoops, so kind of important to pay attention a little bit on this first steps here. We'll get to the after this step is done, we're going to leave the project in the hoop carefully remove it from the machine and trim right next to that line. If you feel it's going to put 2 lines down, which is a good reinforcement for trimming your applique fabric down. One thing to remember on baby locks and brothers is you don't want to bump that arm real hard when it's in the middle of an embroidery, because it'll get out of registration and just continue sewing. 1/4 inch off, 1/2 inch off. People have brought their machines in thinking they were broken, but they just got bumped. Then what I like to use is these curved Havel sewing machine scissors. They're just nice and short. They have nice holes, so when you let them go, they pop right off your hand. Of course, I sell them here if you can't find them in your local quilt shop. They're serrated, they're curved, so they're real easy to get into trimming that applique. So here we go. We're going to start trimming that applique. I can even do this left-handed. And then with that curve, see how it goes inside that curve real well? I want to keep my batting and everything real close to that stitch line, so when my satin stitch comes up, it covers all those little fuzzies and stuff. So, and then you just continue all along. Once it's all trimmed like that, you would go ahead and do your stippling. Let me just go ahead and start that real quick to show you how that works, because at this point I can still trim the excess of it. You just can't trim the excess when it's done doing the satin stitch, because you want that to cover up any of your cut marks and stuff. So there we go. It's going to be perfect stippling. It's going to be the best stippling you've ever done in your whole life. Ta-da, it's done. Now for a bonus, my Baby Lock Trista girl, we're going to show you how to make matching napkins with a Baby Lock serger and a rolled hem. So let me flip around. And here's our Trista. All right.
Hi, everybody. Here's my napkin. And I'm on the Baby Lock Triumph. I've got it set up for a rolled edge.
It's really easy on a Baby Lock to know when you're on a rolled hem, because the dial has it marked.
Right there. Super simple.
You just take out one of the needles and go. There she goes.
Speed up a little bit. My pedal's hitting the basket.
So as Trista's doing this, my mom and I years ago, we took bridal illusion and put rolled hem on it and made and sold bridal veils at my old high fashion store that did all kinds of fabric. We would do 30 or 40 bridal hems in an evening. It usually took about 2 or 3 beers each. So there you go, it's one side. Now show them how you would do the next corner. Do you not try to turn a corner with the serger?
You can.
This is easier, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what she's doing, she's just cutting right over the top, and the serger is taking off just a little bit of the fabric. You basically make napkins to your favorite size. We are making these 14 inch by 14 inch, so we're going to have matching napkins. And we turn our density real tight so that thread is like a bead along the edge. And we like to use what we call poly yarn. It is another name called woolly nylon. So go ahead and take that off, and we're going to show you that now, through the magic of video, we have one completed here, all 4 sides. And you want to leave a little tail on there. And with that tail, we are going to put a drop of fray check on each tail corner and let it soak in and dry overnight. And then you can trim these little ends off, and you got napkins that will hold up to many, many washings. I have napkins to go with every event. I have Easter napkins and Christmas napkins and Thanksgiving napkins, because I just make 8 of them up. You just kind of, I take the 42 or 43 inch wide fabric, divide that by 3, that's close to 16, and then make it about 12. So you got 12 by 16 or 16 by 16, and you got napkins. So you can make napkins out of 6 of them out of 1 yard of fabric. So there we go. Give us a thumbs up and a subscribe to us and notifications. And that's this month's Baby Lock IQ Designer Club. Thanks. Bernina Jeff, if you have questions, please call the shop, 970-256-1293.